In this video, I'm going to be going over Qwen 3 Coder, which is the latest model from the team over at Alibaba. This is their most powerful open-age code model to date. It's a 480 billion parameter mixture of experts model with 35 billion active parameters, as well as a context length that scales all the way to 1 million tokens of context with extrapolation. Now, what's really impressive with this model is we just had Kimmy K2, which really excelled at a ton of different coding tasks. But what's really interesting with this latest release from Qwen is we can see consistent outperformance over Kimmy K2 across the board. Where this really stands out is in direct comparisons to frontier models. Qwen 3 actually manages to outperform even Claude 4 Sonnet across several benchmarks. And where it doesn't outperform, it comes extremely close. For example, on Terminal Bench, Qwen takes the lead. On Swebench Verified, it scores 69.6, while Claude 4 Sonnet comes in at 70.4. And across benchmarks like agentic browser use, it's basically a toss-up. For agentic tool use, it doesn't quite match Claude 4 Sonnet, but it comes within striking distance, which is very impressive for an open release. Now let's break down what this actually means. Terminal Bench measures how well a model can interact with a command line, completing tasks like navigating directories, editing files, or running code. Swebench, on the other hand, evaluates models on real GitHub issues, where the model has to understand an existing repo, locate the bug, and propose a working fix. So when Qwen 3 Coder nearly ties Claude on Swebench, it suggests this model isn't just strong at toy problems, it's competitive at real-world engineering tasks. And this is especially significant because Swebench isn't a simple one-shot prompt. It requires reading through large repos, planning multiple steps, and writing code that actually executes. Qwen 3's performance here shows it's capable of reasoning at scale, not just predicting short code completions. Moving on to the command line tooling, Alibaba has open-sourced Qwen Code, which was forked from Gemini Code. Qwen Code has been adapted with customized prompts and function calling protocols, designed to unleash the model's capabilities for agentic coding tasks. This means developers can use Qwen 3 Coder not just for filling in a snippet, but for end-to-end workflows, setting up environments, modifying files, running unit tests, and iterating on results. And importantly, you can integrate it into existing tools like Qwen or AI IDEs by simply swapping in the base URL and model string. This lowers the barrier for adoption, since you don't need to change your workflow to try it. Now let's talk about the training setup, because this is where things get really interesting. The model was trained on 7.5 trillion tokens, with 70% being coding data. That is a massive departure from most general-purpose LLMs, which typically use a far smaller fraction of code. Alibaba also applied synthetic data filtering to remove noisy examples, which they claim significantly improved results. The model natively supports 256K tokens, but with Yarn, it extends to a full million tokens. To put that in context, 1 million tokens is enough to handle an entire enterprise codebase with thousands of files. You could drop in a huge repo, documentation, and long pull request threads, and still keep everything in context. That opens the door for repo-scale debugging, migrations, and architecture refactoring in ways earlier models just couldn't handle. It's also worth clarifying what a mixture of experts model means here. Instead of activating all 480 billion parameters at once, Qwen 3 routes each request through a smaller subset of experts. This makes inference faster and more efficient while still giving the benefits of a massive parameter space. In practice, that means you get the accuracy of a huge model without waiting forever for a response, which is especially important if you're working interactively in an IDE. Another important distinction is that Qwen 3 Coder wasn't tuned for competition-style coding leaderboards. Instead, the team emphasized execution-driven reinforcement learning, scaling training on real-world dev tasks like fixing bugs, handling dependencies, or collaborating with build systems. That makes it much more practical in day-to-day engineering work. And to really drive this home, let's look at benchmarks. Kimmy K2 scored 65.4, while Qwen 3 Coder climbs right up alongside Claude 4 Sonnet. Just a few months back, DeepSeek R1 was getting headlines for its benchmarks, and at the time, it felt like a big jump. But now, Qwen 3 is already pushing beyond that. The pace here isn't slowing. If anything, it's accelerating. Another fascinating aspect is the use of long-horizon reinforcement learning. For tasks like SweBench, the model can't just produce one-off code. It needs to reason through multi-step interactions, like planning, tool use, and iterative debugging. To train this, Alibaba ran 20,000 parallel environments in their cloud. That's massive, and it provided the scale of feedback needed to make Qwen 3 Coder function as a true agentic assistant, not just a code predictor. So how do you get started? The CLI setup is straightforward. You can install with npm install Qwen code, grab an API key from a provider like OpenRouter, and then just swap in your API key, base URL, and model string. If you prefer cloud code, that's also supported. Just grab an API key from Alibaba's Model Studio, install cloud code, and set your proxy URL and O token. Or if you're already a Qwen user, you can integrate it there. The key point is, wherever you're working, you can drop Qwen 3 Coder in without major friction. Now let's check out some demonstrations. One demo shows a Three.js web app simulating realistic block physics, with objects colliding, stacking, and falling naturally. Another is a rotating Earth visualization, complete with textures, shading, and orbital motion. There's also a bouncing ball inside a rotating hypercube, which is a neat stress test of math, physics, and rendering all at once. We also see a solar system simulation, with orbital paths and scaling between planets. And finally, there's a basic interactive game, small but impressive in how quickly it was generated. The key here is that these aren't just code snippets, they're full functioning applications that run smoothly. For developers, this means the model isn't just useful for boilerplate, it can actually generate end-to-end prototypes. And if you don't want to run it locally, you can try it on the web at chatqwen.ai. The platform is free, and what's especially nice is the artifacts feature, which lets you instantly run any web app the model generates. The inference speed is surprisingly responsive, fast enough that you can experiment and iterate in real time. So to wrap this up, Qwen 3 Coder is a serious step forward for open coding models. It's trained on a huge coding-heavy dataset, it's optimized for repo-scale reasoning, it's efficient thanks to its mixture of experts design, and it integrates directly into existing dev tools. Whether you're experimenting as an indie developer or thinking about enterprise-level adoption, this is absolutely a model worth watching. And given the pace of improvement we're seeing month after month, I wouldn't be surprised if the next release pushes things even further. That's it for this video. If you found it useful, please comment, share, and subscribe.